Hi, Coach. What's going on?
I'm all right, man. Thanks for having me on. I'm excited and happy to be here.
It's an honor for me. You're like a living legend in Delaware, man.
Legend in my own mind.
Well, I mean, a lot of people, like a lot of people may not know, but you were a state championship basketball player in Wilmington for Howard University. I mean, Howard, excuse me, Wildcat.
Absolutely. So in my freshman year, 1981, that would be a long, long, long time ago. Fortunate enough to be a part of a team that got to the state championship. And of course, I would be remiss if I didn't mention rest in peace to Coach Hussey, who passed away this week, and his funeral will be this coming Tuesday. So a lot of time in this past week, kind of reminiscing and thinking about my days back at the Howard Career Center.
So, like now, I got a question for you. You've won a lot of state championships at Stanford. How has that experience of being playing in that game helped you with coaching students to get to that game or get to that spot?
Well, number one, I think it's all about competition and learning how to compete and what it takes to win. Having the experiences as a player usually transfers if you're interested in, particularly for me being a point guard, and that's kind of the quarterback on the floor for a basketball game. So that translates nicely to coaching, and it did so for me at Sanford, and even so now in my transition to Delaware State.
Now, as you mentioned in your transition to Delaware State, you literally left high school to get into university basketball. But people don't know you also supported USA basketball and coached on some of those teams and things of that nature. Talk to me about that experience and how that's helped you also.
Man, that was one of the best experiences of my life to be a part of USA Basketball, one of the finest organizations around. I mean, they do everything first class. And so I was extended an invitation right before the pandemic to join the coaching staff at USA Basketball for the USA Junior National Team, and coached the U17 and U16. Went over to Argentina for a couple of summers in a row and actually won a gold medal with some very, very talented players. Of the roster, we had 12 guys who were on that roster. 10 of them are currently in the NBA, were first round draft picks. The other two, one is playing in the G League, and the other one is starting point guard at Baylor right now. So being around some talented players, being around some of the best minds in basketball as far as the coaches go, and that's collegiate, high school, and NBA level. A lot of experiences that have been helpful to me in developing my coaching style now.
Coach, and that's so you talked about it helps you develop your coaching style, but in that transition, how has it helped you um with your experience coaching college players as of the adjustment from high school players?
I think the biggest difference from being a high school coach for me, at least one of the biggest differences, has been the level of talent. Like I said, to have an experience, the opportunity to coach that USA national team where all of those guys were future NBA players and first round draft picks. It's the same thing as at the collegiate level. In high school, you might have three really good basketball players, and you might kind of fill your roster out with a track star and maybe a baseball player and just a good athlete. At the collegiate level, almost everybody on the roster was the best player on their high school team. So you have to be able to merge and blend those personalities and styles and everything else to try to get them all on one accord and working together.
So in doing that, like what was your biggest challenge now at Delaware State when you came into the program?
The biggest task for me at Delaware State really was just changing the culture. I came in at a time where the program had been struggling. They weren't winning a whole lot of basketball games, and they just weren't having a whole lot of success. So they weren't conditioned or used to winning at that point. And fortunately for me, I was coming off of a career at Sanford where we were very used to winning, and winning championships was the expectation. The USA basketball, the same thing, 2 years there and two gold medals. And so winning was something that I was accustomed to doing. So we had to kind of change the whole mindset and get guys to understand what it means to be a part of a team, what a strong work ethic looks like, the discipline that's necessary to be successful, and just changing the culture. And so we did that in the first year. When I was hired, I inherited a team that had 12 players returning. And
Mhm,
in an unheard of fashion, we kept all 12 of them. Most
mhm.
situations, a new coach comes in, he cleans house, brings in the kind of guys that he wants to play with. We kept them all and saw them through the graduation and made sure they finished off their careers successfully. And so we had that one year where we really struggled. The next year, we were able to start to bring in some of the guys that we thought fit our style of play. We changed our personnel a little bit, and we tripled our win total. Then 3 years, or the next year, last year, we get one more year, a year further into our program, and now we're starting to see the foundation and some of those things pay off. And we advance to the MEAC championship, and we have a chance to get to the NCAA tournament. We were just 2 minutes away from that big dance. We had the lead on Howard with 2.5 minutes to go, and unfortunately, it didn't turn out that way. It didn't pan out that way for us, but we're going to use that as a springboard this season, hopefully to eclipse and surpass what we did last year. And then the hope would be to play in the NCAA tournament and win the MEAC this year.
And so, like, what people don't realize, like, not just that they're homegrown going into Delaware State, being from Delaware, but you've cultivated the championship atmosphere at Sanford, which is Southern Delaware. And us folks who live in the North call it slower lower, right? So when you moved into Delaware State, it wasn't like you were really moving into a new environment, a new. How did that help you into your first job, Coach Kyle?
Well, the first thing, any high school coach that's worth their weight in salt, that would be a dream, right? To be able to coach at the Division I level. So I'm living my dream right now. It's a dream job, and then to be able to do that in my home state, where I was born and raised and played, and then I played at the University of Delaware, and now to come full circle and be downstate coaching at Delaware State. Again, there's a whole lot of pride that's tied into that. And then, people here are familiar with me. They know my history a little bit. They know my background. And so I feel like I get a lot of support from the administration, from the community, from the basketball community. And that's helped us really to kind of get the program going again.
Yeah. Well, and now that the program's going, you're dealing with the NIL and the portal and all those things. And what I like is what I've seen from you and your coaching staff is that how you developed a few players, brought them in, but you lost your top with 3 out of 4 top scorers last year, and now you still got a team that's fighting. And I saw the game last week. I believe it was now I'm shooting a blank. Might have been it wasn't Howard. I forgot. Anyway, but the game last week, y'all were in it. It was very close. Maybe Norfolk. Um, and it's very close, and they're still a scrappy team. So talk to me how you combat NIL and the transfer portal and all those things to still mold that team.
Well, quite honestly, that was one of the things I didn't expect to have to deal with. And that was one of the new things that I'm learning on the fly is the whole NIL and the transfer portal. Being at Stanford for 29 years, I felt like we built a program where year in and year out, we were going to be competitive because the foundation was laid and the next guy was being groomed and ready to step up and step in when his turn came. And now you get to the collegiate game where the whole transfer portal and the NIL and the highest bidder and dollars are now factoring and playing a role with people's rosters. So at our level, we bring in guys. We had the rookie of the year last year in the league and another all league player, the second team all conference player, and then our sixth man, who, as you said, was probably our third leading scorer, our top three scores to have great years. And if they have great seasons at our level, the big boys are going to come in and poach them. And that's exactly what happened. So we lost three of our starting five players and we had to rebuild. And quite honestly, I took it personally initially. I'm thinking, am I doing something wrong? Am I not doing something right that these guys want to leave? And then you understand that's just the nature of the game these days. It's like you develop them. If they have any success, the likelihood of having them return is slim to none. They're going to want to go on to greener pastures and bigger programs and play at a higher level. So the trick for us, and I learned this, is that transfer portal, that door swings both ways. As guys leave, there's an opportunity to bring guys in. And so we went out and tried to find the best players that we could to kind of keep it going. And we've been fortunate. We're competitive. We'll see at the end if it turns out as well as it did for us last year.
Yeah, it's interesting because the now you're in the heat of conference play. The MEAC is close. The records are maybe a little off here and there, but the games are very competitive. And so when you get to the tournament, anything can happen. Recently, uh, who did Morgan State might have beat Norfolk or Howard. I can't remember. Um, Earlier this week. And so how does that settle into your mindset about playing like this is the season, this is the second season where everybody's going up.
Well, that's one of the things I learned pretty quickly about the MEAC. It's a competitive league from top to bottom. I mean, perennially over the last couple of years, Howard has won it back to back, and Norfolk had won it 2 years prior to that. So Howard and Norfolk have kind of been at the top and ruling the roost. But on any given night, from 1 to 8, you got to bring it, and if you don't bring it, you're gonna be facing an L. There's some great coaching that goes on in the league. Lavelle Moulton down at Central, and Rob Jones at Norfolk, and Kenny Blakeney at Howard, and then Brodus at Morgan. I mean, there's just a ton of great coaches, and it's competitive night in, night out. The environment in the MEAC is crazy. I mean, I love playing down at Memorial Hall in Delaware State. We have the oldest facility in the league, but the environment is jumping. I mean, the fans are on top of you, the band's doing their thing, and it's a great environment. It's a great place to play. It's competitive, and it's a lot of fun. But you got to be able to play every night. We got hot last year, right, just in time for that MEAC tournament, and we were able to string together a good weekend where we were playing our best basketball. And like I said, hopefully we can do that again this year.
So now that you're going, what are some things? What are some things that you tell your team as you're going day to day? Because now it's the grind. It's every Monday and Saturday. You know, you're getting into the grind of the season, and this isn't the fun part of the season, right? You went through the fun parts. So, what are some of the things you tell your team to keep them going? You know, and it's tough.
Yeah, so it's that time of the season. The early part of the season is usually rough for the MEAC teams because we're playing a lot of those non-conference games where we're playing, high major teams and programs, and so we're taking our lumps. And everybody's saying the same thing. We're preparing ourselves for conference play. Well, now the conference is here, and you hope to be playing your best basketball. Like I said, to position yourself for the tournament. I always every year that I've ever coached for 30 plus years. I don't care to be playing my best basketball in November and December. And I'm hoping my team is getting better as the season progresses. You kind of figure out your identity, who you are, you develop your rotation, and then you try to put it all together, piece it all together, and try to have some success, like I said, for that big weekend when the MEAC tournament comes around in March.
All right, cool. I appreciate the time, but I got like two more questions I got for you.
Whatever
Number
you
one,
need.
what do you, what can you say, or what do you say to a player that you wanted to come to talk about Dover? Because Dover is an interesting place, right? But getting kids to come to Delaware State, to come to Dover, it's not like they're going to Howard, where they or Norfolk on the beach. You know, so talk to me how you convince a player to come and the beauty of Dover.
Well, right now, and you, if you ever listen to Dr. Tony Allen, our president, speak about Delaware State University, you'll hear him talk about unapologetically HBCU, the number 3 public HBCU in the country right now, and I think number 9 overall. There are a lot of exciting things happening. Dover's the state capital. I think geographically we are situated perfectly. I know for me, recruiting to be able to get to Philadelphia and Baltimore and New York, New Jersey, all within a couple of hours if you need to, and be right back home in my bed at night. Like I didn't have to move. And I'm commuting every day from Newark to Dover. So we're centrally located. But there are a lot of great things happening in Dover. Our campus is expanding. Dr. Allen, as I said, has done an amazing job with programs. And anytime you walk onto a campus, and particularly in HBCU, and you see they're breaking ground for new buildings and new programs, that's a sign that things are going really, really well. For us, we recently added the excitement of hiring a new football coach. We got Deshaun Jackson coming down there. And so that has kind of been a shot in the arm, a boost for us. There are plans for a new athletic facility. So those are the things that we are using as momentum and enthusiasm to sell our university. And if you get people on the campus and they see what we have down there, it's not that hard of a sell.
I hear that. So, it before we go, is there any last words or anything? Because I was going to ask you about what's it like. Did you get a chance to meet Coach Jackson and your experience with him so far?
Yeah, so the first thing is I had to break the news to him that I was a Cowboy fan. So being a Cowboy fan, I had to break that news to him. But man, he has brought so much energy and excitement and enthusiasm and anticipation about what's to come with the football program, and it's contagious, right? For all of our athletic programs, I think everybody is aspiring to raise their level of performance and production, and then certainly us, because we had a little bit of success last year, and hopefully, if we can take that another step further, it'll be great.
But if you got any last words, let me know.
Yeah, I gotta encourage folks to come on out and see what we're working with. Come on down to Memorial Hall. Again, one of my goals is to make it the toughest place to play in the country. Right now, we're 5-1 at home, playing an exciting brand of basketball. So check the schedule and come on down to Memorial Hall and catch a game.
All right, Coach. I appreciate you. Don't hang up just yet. You know what I mean? I don't know what happened. We'll end the interview, but I want you to hang up so I can capture your individual stream.
I'm here. I appreciate it.